what would otherwise be an ordinary story, and not a very good one at that, right? I mean, let's face it, there is nothing particularly exciting in my story. Would that be fair to say? And hopefully, yeah. You know, I'm riveted. What happened next? So far, we've come to two different styles of metaphors that we started to generate. And would it be fair to say they're reasonably easy to generate so far? And I know there's more polishing we can do, more things we can add in, but they're reasonably straightforward and easy, and it's easy to mine your personal experiences to fit what we're doing, correct? All right, so let's do the following. Find a new partner, someone you haven't worked with yet. Settle down with them and then face this way when you're ready. So you might as well all close your eyes and go way deep sound asleep. Finding your own level of comfort to create your own personal experience in hypnosis. You really can experience anything you wish. Your conscious mind has nothing of any importance to do other than maybe briefly contemplate some problem you're resolving or some outcome you'd like to move closer towards. A great chef, Gordon Ramsay, taught his class a very important lesson. Something that took him 6 months to perfect, 6 months to master, from a master amongst chefs. Didn't seem like a lot, but 6 months to master it. The meal was very simple, and yet it took 6 months to master the making of scrambled eggs. And everyone knows what scrambled eggs are. Everyone knows how to make them. Crack a few eggs, heat them up, whip them up. Surely that's all there's to it. Get in front of his class, Gordon Ramsay took out his eggs, reminding them, make sure they're room temperature first, so they're ready for cooking. And you can crack the eggs any way you wish. Some people crack them on the edge of the bowl. Some people use the side of a spoon or a knife. Some people can do it with just one hand. Mix them up, place them in a pot, add in a generous serving of butter. That's interesting. And then the real artistry begins. You place the pot over a high heat for a very brief moment, 30 seconds, no more. Stir them, take them off the heat, let them rest, let them work away from the heat. And then return them back to the heat, stirring vigorously, letting the heat provide energy to change the eggs. Take them off the heat, stirring, and letting them continue to absorb the energy from the heat at their own rate. Back on, back off, on and off. Slowly and gradually the eggs start to thicken as they cook. Towards the end, when they're starting to get just a little firm consistency, he adds cream. Back on the heat, stir vigorously, 30 seconds off the heat. Let them absorb the experience of that heat. Let them continue to cook on their own. On the heat, off the heat, and then just before the end, season. A little salt and pepper can take them a long way. A generous slice of toast, pour it on top, and a beautiful mountain of eggs. Moist, golden, fluffy. A masterpiece from a master chef. It took him 6 months to get this right. And when the students tasted the eggs, their eyes open wide. Some raise their hands to cover their mouth. I don't believe how good these are. 6 months to change something so easy, elevate it into something so much more. Something to learn here, just for you. When you begin to understand that, bring yourself back, eyes open, feeling good, all over. Any questions? Who wants to do that with their partner? Yeah, right? Yeah, so scrambled eggs, the metaphysical kind, of course. So there is something different about that version of the metaphor to the same content that we worked with this morning. Would that be fair to say? Yeah. So let's take about 7 minutes each. Is that enough? Right? Going through the same structure again. Only this time, when you get to the metaphor portion, let's see if you can add the twist that we just played with here. We'll debrief, of course, again, and we'll come back, have a chat about that, and see if your conscious mind actually caught up to what your unconscious mind seemed to know. Sound good to you guys? Okay. All right, 7 minutes apiece, off you go. So was that interesting? Now, let me ask you this before we continue. Are you noticing a gradation of experiences as we've been progressing through the day? As a subject, there's something changing a little bit in terms of how you experience essentially the same metaphor, correct? Something intangible. We'll talk more about that as we go along, but there's something different in terms of how we present each metaphor and the impact it can have on us, right? So right now we're just getting that sense of experience, so we get a sense of reference experiences, so it's something we're talking about. So over to you guys.
What was the exercise?
Oh, should we do exercise? That's a good idea, right? What was the exercise? Well, actually, let me do another demo after this first, and then we'll do a contrast. It'll be a lot easier to understand then, right? The main part of the exercise is the same as before. In other words, talking about a problem, parameters, the trance induction, then there's some kind of metaphor, and then the ending and debrief are all the same structure, right? That bit's the easy part. It's the difference in terms of what we did in the middle there. And there's actually one more version I want to show you before I'll answer that question, because they're very closely related and sometimes people mix them up a bit, okay? So before we go down that road, what was your experience? Well, first of all, how was that? Was that interesting? Fun? Right? Did it have meaning for you? So you came in with a specific purpose in mind and you found meaning in that experience, correct? Now here's the important part. That meaning was somehow different to what we did before the lunch break, when we did it in the second person, which is again somehow different to what we did before that session, when we did it in the first person. There's some kind of changing of meaning that happens as we progress. Would that be fair to say? All right. The second part is, how was that different from just telling a story? When I talked about Chef Ramsey, it's an actual real event, right? How is that different from me just telling you about Chef Ramsey saying, oh, here's how you cook scrambled eggs. Stir them, take them off, on, there you go, done. How was that different for you? Again, something tickling in the back of your mind is a qualitative difference, wasn't there? And if I had just, of course, the Milton weirdness principle, of course, the idea of the hypnotic intent, the hypnotic voice, the hypnotic context, all that starts to change what would otherwise be an ordinary story, and not a very good one at that, right? I mean, let's face it, there is nothing particularly exciting in my story. Would that be fair to say? And hopefully, yeah. You know what, I'm riveted. What happened next? Did it make a split Sunday too? I don't know. Oh, come on, tell me. But the key is I'm purposely using a topic which is somehow empty, right, to show what we can do. The gold standard in terms of creating impact with metaphors is actually relatively low, right, as long as you have it embedded within a context from which meaning can flow. Does that make sense, guys?
If you found this insightful, make sure to subscribe for more fascinating discussions on the power of the mind and hypnosis.